Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mack, Play Fast Football. I'll put down in the description box below, I'll put a link to GameStrat Football, who we are using for our sideline replay right now, and it's working real well with our assistant coaches using it as our sideline replay system. And then Just Play Sports Solutions, which we use for some of our playbook software stuff. And we haven't fully invested into using it the way we should be using it, but this off season I'm going to fully invest into using it with our kids so our kids can learn game plans and some other things. And it's a great system. I just didn't get caught up to speed enough on it in time to use it with our kids. So I use it for some of my diagrams and drawings and some of my playbook stuff. But Just Play Sports Solutions is also a great company that's been really good for us to work with. Got a message from one of our followers asking if we do something on drop back passing. I've done some videos before on quarterback play, drop back passing, protection, so this isn't the first time that we are really doing a drop back passing video. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, for me, what I like, what I don't like, why I like it, why I don't like it, and I'm going to give you just some philosophies from me, at least, on how I like to do certain things or why I like to do certain things a certain way. Again, with most of the videos I do, like I tell you all the time, these are things that I like. There's reasons I like it. It doesn't make it, it doesn't make it the only way to do things. Football's basically, there's several different ways to skin a cat. It's all up to you as a coach and a coaching staff and the players that you have. And it's kind of a flavor of the moment type game where one thing's hot at one point or something else is hot at another point, and then it comes down to players and it comes down to results. So right now with some of the things that we're doing, we're currently 5-1 on the season, and our quarterback has thrown for over 1,000 yards in 6 games, and we average 380 yards a game. We score 35 points a game, so we're doing some pretty good things on offense. But I think it's more of the players that we have than it is any any specific scheme based. Drop back passing for us, to be honest, is less than 15% of our passing game that we call. It's just something for me that I am not very comfortable calling. It's not something for me. It's really a risk-reward, cost-effectiveness type deal. And for me, it's how much can I work it in practice? How much can we work protection? How much can we work different fronts? How much can we work if we're releasing 4 or 5 into the route? How much can we work on our hot protection stuff and where the quarterback needs to go with the ball, and how many different route combinations can we work with our receivers, and can we do all that with the run game, with the RPO game, with the quick game? So it's kind of a cost-effective thing that I don't feel like there's enough time. The way we practice in our practice plan, I don't feel like there's enough time for me to get comfortable working on it to where I feel even more comfortable calling it in game situations. And then it's also a risk-reward type deal where quarterback we play with right now currently is about 5'7", 5'8", really not a pocket kid. Is it worth the risk reward to sit him in the pocket, try and protect him, to push the ball, intermediately downfield to the places we need to push the ball? Is that worth it when we can kind of, within our quick game, RPO game, and then within our selective shots that we take, can we get the ball where we need to without having drop back passing? Now, obviously, right now I can say that we can do those things because we have thrown for over 1,000 yards, probably about 175 yards a game in 6 games, which in high school football is not too bad. And so I think that, averaging 175 yards passing a game, I'm going to say right now that the way we throw the ball is effective enough and, good enough for us to be 5-1. And our quarterback has thrown 10 touchdowns. He only has 1 interception. So I'm going to say the way we have decided to go about calling plays and throwing the ball this year is working for us. All right, but we're also coming off a 1-9 season last year where a lot of the things we were doing didn't work for us. So I'm not saying there's a right way or a wrong way. I'm just saying what I like to do, and I'm going to go through some of the things that we currently carry and how we do it. All right, the first thing I'm going to tell you is I only use 2 protections. We full slide or half slide. We full slide with backs off the edge. If we're worried about stunts, if we're worried about a lot of blitzes, if we're worried about multiple fronts, sometimes we'll full slide our drop back stuff. Most of the time we are going to half slide our drop back stuff. So we are going to start, on the call side or the play side, we are going to start first uncovered man is going to start the turn. All right, so again, like when you're looking at if you're looking at half slide protection stuff, and you know, to the front side, if you have a 3 and a 5, well then obviously they're both covered, so the center would start the slide side, all right, and it would be half slide because you would be man on one side and you would be slide on the other side, all right. If you had the 1 and the 5 on the front side, so if the right side was the man side and you had the 3 back side with the 1 and the 5 there, then obviously you'd be man here and you would start a 4-man slide, all right, and then you would slide to those 4 is the way we do it, all right. If you saw an odd front for us, first uncovered again would be the guard. So if we got any type of, all right, if we got any type of odd front for us, if this was the man side, we're going to man that and then we're going to start the turn, and now the 4 that we are sliding to are those 4, all right. So then we've got to figure out what we're going to do, all right, with if we slide to those 4, block 5, what are we going to do with 6 and 7? How many are we releasing? Are we free releasing 2 backs? Are we, you know, how are we going to take care of all that stuff? How are we going to dual read on the front side? Are we going to keep both backs in? You know, are we going to keep, if it's a 7-man box and we can't with 2 high, or a 7-man front with 2 high, and we know we can't get 4 weak, you know, are we going to keep both backs to where he's got the Mike, he's got the Sam, and then they check release? All right, you know, are we going to free release a back? Are we going to push and free release it back and now maybe leave him on the front side to double read into some type of check release? All right, those are all the things you got to look at when you're throwing the football. And there's a lot of things that are really involved in it, and that's why, for me, within our practice plan, I don't know if we have enough time to get to all that to be good at it. So for the amount that we want to do, when we full slide and we half slide, we keep our protections as simple as possible. We keep our verbiage for our running backs as simple as possible so that they know they're either in the route. If they're in the route, they know the route they're running. If they're in protection, they know what they're doing in protection. We very rarely, we don't give our backs 10 different routes to run. We don't run a lot of angles. We don't run, you know, a lot of crossing routes. You know, we basically push the flat with our backs. And one of the reasons we do that is for the simplicity of what they're getting and what the quarterback's seeing. And then the horizontal stretch it gives us, all right, on the defense when we're trying to east and west push things out wide. You know, if you're going to throw the ball a bunch, then obviously I think your backs need a lot more routes involved. They need to be able to spot. They need to be able to check down. They need to be able to have routes that cross the formation, or their check downs need to be able to run. They need to be able to run the Texas or the angle routes, and you know, and obviously you're going to carry some wheels or some rail routes. And to me, you know, obviously the more you throw the ball, the more things your backs need to do. But we don't do that much with our backs in the passing game because we don't drop back and throw the ball that much. So we're going to keep our protections to full slide, half slide, all right, and then we're going to keep, within our half slide, we're going to keep our free release and our hot stuff pretty simple for our backs and our quarterback, just because, again, the amount of times we actually call drop back, this is the way I like to do it, because I feel more comfortable that we'll know what we're doing when we call it, because we don't call it 30, 40 times a game. If I was going to throw the ball 40 times a game, I'd probably do some things different in protection, and I would certainly do some things different with our running backs. That's not what we do, so I'm not worried about that. You know, for me at this point right now, I'm worried about keeping it real simple. All right, here's the route combinations that we currently carry. This is mid-season. These are the route combinations that we carry. We carry 5 basic route combinations, and I am very simplistic and very rigid in how we run those route combinations. All right, yes, we have some things that we tag off of them, but we keep our passing, our drop back system is very simplistic from the standpoint of play side 1, play side 2, play side 3, backside 1, backside 2. All right, we keep all our combinations taught that way so that when we get ready to call a combination, we know that our kids can run it from a 2-receiver set, a 3-receiver set. They know exactly what we're running. Now, do you get a little bit rigid, a little bit stiff in your passing game? Sure you do. But we don't drop back pass or call drop back passes all that much, so I think it's okay to be a little bit rigid in your drop back passing scheme. Again, if I was going to throw the ball 35 times a game, my route combinations and how I call them and the flexibility that I gave my receivers and my quarterback would be completely different. When you call drop back passes 4 to 6 times a game, I don't think you need all the verbiage or all the flexibility in those route combinations and reads and adjustments and things that you're doing when you're only going to call it 4 to 6 times a game. Again, just an opinion. All right, so we carry a mesh concept. We're always going to carry a mesh concept so that if we are getting man free, if we are getting man-to-man teams, we're going to carry our mesh so that we can get some picks, we can get some rubs, we can get some matchups with the back on wheel routes. So we're always going to carry a mesh concept. All right. Who runs the mesh for us is kind of simple. All right. We don't change who runs the mesh. We don't have Y mesh, Z mesh, X mesh, H mesh. We don't change the high lows that much for us. All right. It's kind of standard who runs the high mesh, who runs the low mesh, and then what we're doing with the rest of the route stays pretty specific. All right, we run, whether you want to call it snag or scat, all right, if it's three-man scat for us, all right, we're talking about snag, corner, flat. We always carry that combination. We carry it two-man, we carry it three-man, and then we carry it with some tags so that we can attack middle of the field open in some different ways. And so that's always going to be something that we carry in our drop-back game, and that's probably the drop-back. To be honest with you, if we call 6 drop-back passes in a game, 2 or 3 of them are probably that combination. All right, so I'm always going to be a two-man, three-man snag or scat, all right, in my package. We still carry curl flat, all right. We don't see as much 3 deep anymore. We don't see as much single high safety stuff anymore, but we still carry curl flat because I think it's an easy throw for quarterbacks, it's an easy read for quarterbacks, and it's a very simplistic combination for receivers to run, so that if we ever do get 3 deep or 1 high teams or things where we feel like curl flat is good to us, then obviously it's still in the package. I don't think it's that, for me, it's not that cost effective to teach it. It's very simple. The reads are simple, so it's worth carrying for us in our passing game, all right, because I think if we do see any 1 high 3 deep, I think it's real easy for the kids to do. It doesn't take a ton of work, so that's one of the reasons that we carry it, all right. We don't like it a ton, you know, versus certain coverages, so we have to either tag it or adjust it a little bit to certain coverages, but there's some weeks where I don't like calling it at all, just based on the coverages that we're seeing. But I always carry it in my package just in case we start to see a team that's a lot of 3 deep or some 1 high stuff that we feel like curl flat can be an effective combination. I don't run it curl flat. I run it curl spot flat, but that's just me. So it's really the same concept. I just do it a little bit differently than some other people. I don't run my number 2 to the flat. I run my number 3 to the flat. My number 2 runs the check down or the inside route because my backs are normally push flat people. So that's just me in my passing game. All right, we carry a version of flood. We're always going to carry a version of flood. So it's a strong side flood for us. It's not Y cross. It's not weak flood. It's a strong side flood for us. We always carry it because I think versus certain coverages and versus certain defenses, I think the way they handle push motion by the back and how they want to play their safeties on a number 2 receiver, I think it gives certain coverages some issues. But you got to have a quarterback that can throw it. It becomes from the pocket when you're not sprinting out to it. It becomes that 10-yard out route, depending on where the ball is, becomes a longer throw. And when you're playing good football teams that can break on the ball, you don't want a kid that kind of hangs that ball out there and throws it in the air forever. And the better teams are going to give you the pushback. They're going to give you the flat route, and they're going to stay underneath the outcut. And they're going to make you throw the push flat, and then they're going to drive and rally to that. So we carry it. Again, I like it for certain things. There's other things I don't like it, but for me, it's always going to be worth carrying for me in our drop back passing game. So it's a strong side flood, not a weak side flood. And then we carry a version of drive. It's not, the way we run it, we kind of seam read number 2. So we run shallow by 1, and then we don't run the exact drive route by 2. It's not always a dig. More often than not, it ends up being a curl, but it's kind of shallow cross in a way, but it's kind of a mixture of both of those things where it's really it's really a little bit of drive, it's a little bit of shallow cross, but I don't know if it's actually either or any of them. We very rarely run the dig over the top of the drive by number 2, so it's really not truly drive, and it's also not truly shallow cross, but the way we run it, it's coverage specific for certain things that we're getting, and then the way teams handle the back out when we push the back, how they're going to handle the back out, that combination is really it's really coverage specific for me, and I only carry it for a few coverages that when teams are handling us a certain way, I carry that route combination so that if that's the way they're handling us, then I know that route combination can be very good to us until they have to handle it a little bit different way. So when you push the back to the flat as much as we do, you have to be able to understand how teams are going to pattern match or pattern read that. and then you have to have some concepts built in off of that. So a lot of the concepts we carry, the things we do, are kind of built into the fact that we push the back to the flat a lot. So, again, that's us in our passing game. We've thrown the ball for over 1,000 yards, 6 games, 170 yards a game. And to be honest with you, we do it with quick game, we do it with RPOs, and we do it with our chosen matchup shots that we want to take when and where we want to take them. Because to me, that's the risk reward in high school that I want to live by. I don't say everybody else, I don't coach everybody else's team, everybody else does their own thing, but I want to live by the risk reward of building RPOs into the run game. We throw vertical RPOs, we throw, hitch or check down RPOs. We throw RPOs that push the flat. We throw some speed out RPOs. Most of our RPOs are post snap, so they're all pretty much after a mesh has happened with the tailback, so it stays consistent with our run game. All right, and then we throw quick game to where I feel comfortable with punch one, get the ball out of your hand. I feel comfortable with the protection. I feel comfortable with the reads that the quarterback is making. All right, and then we throw some manipulated matchup shots where we know based on formation, play action, whatever it is, the coverage that we're getting, and we're going to take a certain shot down the field to a certain player where there's very few reads involved by the quarterback, and it's usually a 7-man protection and a 3-man route. And again, I feel comfortable doing things that way because I feel comfortable about the protection. I feel comfortable about how we're practicing it. I feel comfortable with the amount of time we're spending on. And, for each coach or for everybody out there, how you play, again, we like to play as fast as we think we can play. We are not the fastest team around by far. We are not, by any means, are we the highest tempo team around. We have some things that we can do that we can get the tempo going. But for us, it's about the simplicity. And again, the simplicity allows our kids to think very clearly and to have assignments that they understand, and that when you get the right players to execute those things, there's enough in there. We only carry 4 runs in our run game, and almost all of them are gap schemes. Okay, so the offensive linemen understand what they need to block and how they need to block it so that when you get effective at those things, 4 schemes is enough in the run game. You don't need any more schemes than that. You don't need anything more or anything fancy or you don't need to carry 6 or 8 different things. We carry 4 schemes, and 2 of them we call probably 70% of the time, and 2 of them we call 30% of the time, but we still average 230 yards rushing a game because they're tied with RPOs. We have some good running backs, and we have ways to take advantage of 6-on-6 in a box, get a helmet on a helmet, and read 7 and 8 and do some things. So, it's the same thing within a run game. The system is built on being simplistic enough with enough multiplicity and diversity and eye candy to make the defense kind of think about what's going on, but our kids are playing very fast and very free. So again, from the tempo standpoint, I'm not going to say that when I say it's play fast football that we are the fastest tempo team around. No, we're not. But when I say play fast football, our kids have very little thinking. And for me, as an offensive coordinator, every time I put something new or a wrinkle in, it's always tied to a scheme that we already run, a blocking scheme that we already run. I never, ever add anything new to the offensive line, and I try not to change their point system, their declaration. I try not to use motions and trades that change things for them. I try to keep things as simple as possible, and it's the same thing in the passing game. All right, that's about as simple as you can keep your drop-back passing game, but it works for us and it's effective for us because our kids understand it, and we only need to use it every so often or when we feel like we need to use it. Again, we're 5-1 currently. We average 35 points a game, 380 yards or 90 yards on offense, 165 or 170 passing. So it's working for us right now. Last year we were 1-9. Didn't work for us last year. So again, it's about what works for you, how it works for you. All right, this is good to us. I'm not going to sit here and say that we are a major drop-back passing team. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a drop-back passing guru. I like what I like. I like it how I like. And, I could sit down and talk to anybody about drop-back passing game and different passing combinations and draw them up on a napkin and talk about them at a clinic and say, yeah, we love this. We love to run this concept. We love to run that. Can you get it done with your high school kids? Can you get it done with your quarterback? That's the bottom line. Okay, so again, this is not it's a concept. We've covered it before. It's not a brand new video, but somebody asked me about talk about drop back passing, so I told him this is what I will tell you about drop back passing. These are the protections we carry. These are the route combinations we carry. That's how we do drop back passing stuff. So again, if you've seen some of our drop back passing stuff before and this is not new to you, then I apologize. But if you haven't seen anything on drop back passing, or to the person that asked about drop back passing, this is what we do currently, 6 games into the season, how we protect it, the route combinations we run, and about how often we call it. All right, guys, so remember, you don't play well until you play fast. I'll catch you guys next time.